Welcome to World of Marketing Podcast, a Foster Web Marketing production. Here's your host, Tom Foster.
Hey everybody, it's Tom Foster in the World of Marketing, and I've got my good buddy, Scott Alperin. Hey Scott.
Good morning.
Scott Alperin at Alperin Law down in Virginia Beach, estate planning attorney, right? Estate planning, now you're getting into other stuff now, but we'll talk about that in a minute. But
Yep.
And Scott's been with us for about a year now.
It's I think we're a little over a year, and it's been a world of difference in that 1 year. And obviously, like anything else, Rome wasn't built in a day, which of course I was expecting everything to change on day one, but it's the kind of thing where you've got to go by the adage, slow and steady wins the race, and I think we're in first place right now, thanks to you, Tom.
Well, thanks to everybody. I thank you for saying that, but a big credit goes to you and your team. I remember when meeting you a year ago, before this pandemic mess ruined everybody's day. But it was last summer, you and Skylar came up and visited with us after you were at Ben Glass Great Legal Marketing event, I believe.
Yes,
and you're working with Ben on stuff, right? You guys
we're working with him on Social Security disability cases that they have developed an affiliation with our firm with regard to, and that's working out well.
That's great. And Ben's got, he only does that with people he trusts, by the way. That says a lot about you. Anyway, so, and we're pretty close by, and you swung over and we met, and I remember that day because you were like, this better work, man.
I've been burned a lot of times.
You were like skeptical.
No, I followed you. I chose your way, Chivato, but I don't trust it anymore.
You were very pleasant. You're a gentleman. You're nice about it, but you were just kind of like, I'm really not. I hope so, but I'm just saying, I don't. Right? So you're cautiously optimistic.
Yes, I would say that was, well, clearly you already had the recommendation from Ben's group, which really, given his stature in the legal community up there and in the marketing world, got you 9/10 of the way to me, jumping in the pool with you. But it was really having worked with so many different web marketing firms over the years and not getting the results. I feel as if that I couldn't find someone that I could trust that would allow me to take the practice to the next level without just giving me a bunch of smoke and mirrors. Because the typical conversation is, well, you need to start, you need to keep doing it, and you need to keep doing it every month, and then eventually it will pay off, which is what I had done with previous companies and tried to monitor it. And a lot of it for me is we need to see results, and we need to see quantifiable results, and impressions and hits and all this stuff isn't really results if they don't turn into clients.
Right.
Which is what I've always said. And there's never been a good response to that other than, gee, you gotta keep doing it, and then eventually it'll work. And so that's why I was skeptical walking into your office, although I was very impressed with your operation, and I'm glad I had a chance to come by and see it firsthand, because I'm sure the majority of your clients do this like we're talking today, either on a phone conference or Zoom, and being able to see your operation firsthand, and the quality of the staff you have, and the just the individual, I guess each person having their own little niche that was their cog in the wheel that they were assigned to and were expert at, really impressed me because you had everybody from folks you had a whole video studio to help add web video. You had people that were focused on SEO. You had people that were social media. You had people that were website development, and they all seem to be on the top of their game. And it's an impressive operation and a
Well,
very colorful office, by the way.
thank you. Yeah, it's true. I mean, like people don't really think about that. And you know, you've got content team and editors, the writers. You've got the front end and the back end of the development team, as you said. You know, video, SEO, and now SEO. You have various levels of SEO, and so you know now we have local. You know, there's various aspects to SEO that certain people are really good at in certain areas. It's very expensive to keep all that going. Now, you know, you know now it's all virtual because of the pandemic that we have going on right now. But we have, it's funny because we do Zoom, and like every morning we have morning meetings, or when we have meetings with clients, it's like the Brady Bunch we got the Zoom thing going on. We haven't been in the office since March, that office of ours. Nobody.
Wow.
Yeah. I just basically was like, well, we can do this virtually. I mean, we'll go in the video studio to shoot videos. Like, you know, I know that Jim's been in there, but in terms of like the whole team coming in, I mean, why? We don't need to, you know, we don't need to. So why risk it? You can go, anybody can go there if they want. But anyway, if you want everybody to come when you come up, Scott, we will all come in that office to meet with you and show our.
So, I'm certainly not going to ask you to risk your life over me.
All right. Hey, so back to that though. How long now? Skylar, who is she paralegal too? She's office. So what is her role?
Well, she has been in a number of different roles here, but my goal for her has always been to have her focus on being the firm a marketing director. And up until we started working together, her biggest concern was that, hey, I'm not going to be busy enough just doing marketing because, you know, how much can I do in the marketing world? And so it's taken me a while to help her open her eyes as to really how many different facets there are to marketing. And what was impressive to me, Tom, is when we were sitting in your office there, you pulled out this
the marketing growth plan.
The marketing growth, the big poster board that had all these different branches and tentacles to it. And I looked at that and I said, wow, you know, are we going to be able to do every one of these in the first year? Because that's kind of how it's geared toward.
Right.
And I think I may have mentioned this to you not too long ago. You know, I pulled that out just a couple of months ago just to kind of take the temperature on things. And I realized even though we've come a long way and we've astronomically and exponentially increased our business over the last year, we haven't really scratched the surface on some of those things. So there's strategies there that there's not enough hours in the day to implement everything.
That's exciting.
It is. So the good thing.
You just said something that's, you know, like here we are, you know, we're in the middle of a pandemic, but your business has grown.
It has, and you know, we're fortunate in a couple of respects. One is our practice area, estate planning and elder law, and we also do a lot of real estate and business law and disability law, as you know. But the estate planning piece has really been a focal point for a lot of people. You know, people are staying home.
Right.
They're thinking about this. They're worried about their mortality with the virus, and so that's enabled us to keep people coming in the door. Most of them virtually. Obviously, we just recently opened up our offices. Of course, we're practicing every sanitary and safety measure we can to maintain social distancing and sanitation and all that stuff. But I think what's really helped us, because we have different ways we market to clients. Primarily, what I've done traditionally is seminar marketing, which obviously there's no seminars these days. at least not live seminars. So we converted all those to webinars pretty
Right.
quickly, which was a logical transition. But the problem with webinars is that there's not that personal connection like there is if we're in the same room together, able to interact and also, encourage people to sign up for appointments before
Right,
they
all the
leave.
crosstalk that goes on during the coffee breaks and all, and at the beginning, at the end, all that personal stuff that happens. You're right, 100%.
Right, and it's very easy if you're on a webinar just to turn it off at the end and don't take any action. Whereas at a seminar, there's an encouragement to at least make the consultation at the end of the seminar. So clearly, there's been on the webinar marketing piece or side of our practice, the number of signups has fallen dramatically, but we're getting an amazing number of clients through the web now, and not only with the estate planning piece, but also with estate administration and trust administration, which is a growth area of our practice. And I can tell you that the amount of traffic we're getting largely through Foster Web Marketing's efforts is astronomical. We're getting multiple initial consults a week on the estate admin side. The estate planning, obviously, you're casting a broader net when you're on the internet for estate planning, because there's so many people that don't understand what they need when it comes to planning. And there may be people that need a very basic plan, but there are people that out there that think they need a basic plan, but once you have the conversation, they need something more complex. So we've got to, weed through the appropriate clientele for our practice, because we're a comprehensive planning firm. We're not LegalZoom. We don't do,
Right.
Bare bones trusts and fill in the blank documents. We customize all of our plans. It's a very high level that is our clientele. So if someone, sends us an email.
Second.
Go ahead. Oh, well, that's very important.
Have fun.
I would be surprised if they do. Pardon me.
That's right, carry on.
My apologies.
What's this going to mean for the region?
My apologies.
Hi, how are you?
Scott,
I'm good. How are you?
we're in the middle of our podcast. He's going crabbing.
Oh, very nice. I remember those days.
Yeah,
I
have
used-
fun.
So, at any rate, having the web presence is a great thing because it gets traffic in the door. But we obviously have the number of qualified clients is requires more effort on our end, because we're getting so many people that are coming in looking for it. So, whereas on the admin side, if someone passed away, they need help. They don't know how to navigate the estate administration. So those are very, I guess, much easier to convert and get clients in the door that way. But it's
So interesting how you pivoted because of this. So you had to change course, and the web, which has let you down in the past years, hasn't worked the way you wanted it to. And you've had to rely more on traditional methods of marketing, which have worked for you and will, and you should continue doing it. The seminars.
Mhm.
And of course, when the world opens again, which looks like probably 2022, you can start doing seminars again if you want. You would continue to do that, but now you have this whole other avenue, the web, which didn't work before, now works. Yeah, the webinars, you're right. I mean, like, people can check email, they get easily distracted. It's not the same thing. You have to do more of them, and the key to success is in the campaign, the email, that campaign that follows, and all that other stuff that happened, the drip campaign. But what you have, and I know this because I talk to John all the time that works on your account, is the dramatic improvements that have been made specifically in local in all of your areas, and also organic. And that is critical. And you're right, it creates more volume to sift through. I think that's what you were saying.
Mm-hmm.
And not everybody's going to spend $5,000 plus on an estate plan attorney. I mean, that people are going to be like, that's insane. And you got to be able to, for many, you're right, you're not LegalZoom. You have to be able to respectfully decline them. And you have to have, so there's a lot to that in terms of training your people, your staff to, how do you take care of that? How do you send them off without having them run to Google and give you a terrible review, which people can do, right? I mean, there's a lot, correct?
Very, very much so. I look at a lot of our competitors' Google reviews compared to ours, and it doesn't take if you have the wrong response from a staff member and you don't train your staff to be empathetic to someone's situation, and you have a cursory response to them and don't give them any information they need and aren't helpful, they're very quick to go on there, even if they never hired you, to say
exactly.
The person that answered the phone was terrible, and they
Right.
shouldn't be working at the law firm. That's how they're going to.
Yeah, you just got to be. Anyway, but you've done a great job with that. So, like, I've got a list here. I'm not being rude and pulling up my phone during our podcast, but I wanted to bring up this list of things that John has pulled together for me.
Okay.
So one of the things that one of the first things that you did is pull together this intake form that John worked on, this PDF intake form. He's very proud of. He's brought this up to me a couple of times. So can you speak at all about this? Is this of value to you? Is this something cool?
Yes. Well, actually, it's funny because it was a work in progress, and we went down one road thinking that the way he was setting it up was going to be an easy way of integrating that data directly into our database, into having him realize that the approach, although from a technical standpoint was, a very clean, easy interface, what he didn't realize is on the back end, I've got to be able to have all that data in an easily reviewable, digestible format for the attorneys that are reviewing it. And then we kind of went 180 degrees and went to a fillable PDF where we can now have the clients download that. And obviously it saves time on our end because the staff is not having to send out a PDF of the questionnaire. So we learned a lot in doing it, and I think that there is there was a benefit in that learning process, but we ended up with a product that's very helpful and is something that we now just direct our clients to. Hey, if you're going to become a client, go right onto the website. You can download the questionnaire, complete that, and email it back in a secure email to us, and we're off to the races.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That's funny. I wonder if we're doing that with our own questionnaire.
You'll have to ask John.
I know. So now you guys have done so well with the estate planning or doing SSDI stuff, or have you been doing that, or is that something new?
Well, it's new within the last 18 months. So one of my colleagues, David Ash, who has been in practice about as long as I have been, but we hadn't connected until we were actually childhood friends. So I've known him my whole life, but he went in a different direction. He's a Marine Corps veteran and then went into the debt collection industry, and the laws changed on that to make it more difficult to pursue that area of practice. So he switched gears and went into disability law and then joined the practice because from our perspective, it's a natural fit for what we do, because part of the elder law component of my practice involves disability law and special needs law. And of course, with elderly clients, there's a veterans benefit that is available to seniors who are wartime veterans to help pay for long-term care. So it was a natural fit to bring him on, but we were building that part of the practice from the ground up. So unlike my estate planning practice, which I have had for years and years, and then finally started to, as you like to say, you know, got into the Ferrari rather than the Chevette.
Okay.
And we started doing the same thing with the disability law. And in that short period of time we've been working together, we're getting organically, really, and primarily actually through the chat function, which I can tell you, I was very skeptical of that. I said to myself, who in the heck is going to go onto a law firm website and do a chat? But our intakes, I would say a large percentage of our disability intakes and a good percentage of our estate planning and other intakes are from someone sending in a chat at, you know, request at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
Of course, they want to talk to an attorney at 3 a.m. too.
Well, it's easy. Yeah. Well, that's this generation. And that's an important note and an important lesson, really, for everybody, you know, because everybody communicates differently, and that's part of marketing, and that's part of why you have your what we call our digital presence. It's not just your website; it's everything, and you've got to be where your clients are, and whether you tweet, I don't. Whether you Facebook, I rarely do. I have to, but I'm not a big, you know, whether you YouTube or whether you know, I know you're not into that personally, into all that stuff, but your clients are, many of them. And so, you know, you need to have people do that for you. And you'll find clients there. And the same thing is true of like chat. And a lot of people have said that over the years, Scott, and, you know, you're surprised, but there's a lot of people that are up in the middle of the night worried about this shit. And they get up and they do research, and generally the best clients, ultimately the clients that do not blink an eye at your price, you know, they've got difficult circumstances with their trust, you know, and dropping, you know, 10K plus on a lawyer to fix their $1 million problems, nothing. And those people come in on long tail search, which is, they have big questions like, what do I do with my third vacation home? You know what I mean? Like, you know, that kind of stuff. And you've got if you've got content that answers these kinds of questions for your perfect client, and then you have a chat forum there that says, hey, you know, we can help you out with this. Shangri-La. Guys like, oh my goodness, great. And then, you know, like that stuff obviously is set up to respond. And if it's 3 a.m., well, you know, we're not up right now, but we'll get back to you as soon as we can. Usually that's good enough just to acknowledge. But yeah, I mean, obviously you have to have the content for the chat to work. The chat doesn't work just on its own. You have to have that chat piece on a piece of content for it to respond.
Right.
But the whole point there is having the right kind of content for your perfect client in any practice area, like, you know, and, you know, we talked about a bunch of different things there, because you've got your local, which is performing fantastically, but you've also done a great job on your intake piece, which is flushing out or filtering out not the best clients without pissing them off, which is estate planning, you know, Virginia Beach estate planning attorney or whatever, which you're number one. You're like, great reviews, all that is working great. But if you didn't have the right intake piece for the people that are like, what? I'm thinking $50, man, you know, like, right? You get those, don't you?
There are plenty of them, and usually the ones that call and the first thing they ask is, how much is a will? They're not our client.
Right.
So,
How do you deal with that, by the way? Curious.
well, so it's interesting because it's almost kind of a joke in my practice now, because everybody that comes in to meet with us, whether it's personally in the old days or virtually now, in their mind, because they don't know what they don't know, they think to themselves, I need to check this box. I need to get my estate plan done. But all I really need is a simple will. And that may be the case for a certain percentage of the population. In fact, there are certain people that can get away with that. And in fact, it may be appropriate in their situation. But the overwhelming majority of clients that I meet with, they go from that initial statement at the start of the meeting of all I need is a simple will to a completely different perspective. It's like the window opens and they realize, I never thought about this, and this. I didn't think about the fact that my son or daughter is in a shaky marriage and they're likely to get divorced, and their inheritance could end up with the son-in-law that we don't like very much anymore. I didn't think about me dying and my spouse remarrying and having all the entire estate go to the new spouse and the kids getting cut out of the estate plan, which is something we see all the time. It happens more often than you would think. There's all these different components to estate planning that are really concerns of everybody if the conversation is had, but they don't know it's a concern until you have the conversation. So it evolves. So there are certain people that have a very simple situation, very few assets. Maybe they've got no kids, they're single, they don't have a lot of savings. Well, estate planning for them is not as complex as someone who's got blended family issues, lots of different assets and different formats. But everybody needs certain core documents. So we explain that to them, and they may realize that, oh, well, there's more to this than I thought when I first made the call. But if someone in their mind says, I'm looking for the cheapest estate plan, then we're not the law firm for them. And I usually tell them that no astronaut wants to blast off into outer space on the spaceship built by the lowest bidder. So, and certain people will get that from the start, and other people are so price driven that that's all they think about, and that's not what planning.
We get that too.
Yeah,
we get that too.
I'm sure it's just because there's so many different options.
Ferrari, same thing. Like you're a Ferrari law firm. Yeah, I mean, and it's true.
It's educating people to help them understand the benefits, just like you educated me, right, and opened up that window that I was reluctant to jump through because I'd been down the road so many times with other, marketing firms that promised me the moon and couldn't deliver, and then, finally being able to get to you and, having that first warm introduction through Glass, which was a huge help. But then really, you promised me at that point, you're getting the Ferrari, and we're going to show you how to drive it. And I'm still learning how to drive it. And some of the stuff I don't want to know how to drive, which is why I have you do it. I don't want to know how the engine works. I just know that we're getting good responses. And that's been I think the one takeaway in the evolution of working with you guys is that there's so many nuances to what you do in the marketing world that I often, I guess I go back and forth between really wanting to be in the weeds on stuff and understanding what you're doing, and so I can comment on how that might help our practice to do things differently. I gravitate back and forth between that and just saying, look, these guys know what they're doing, and it's on autopilot, and I don't have to deal with it. So I've always been, with my practice, I guess I could say I've been a micromanager. I'm slowly learning to not do that and to delegate more. And you're one of the big delegates of the marketing process. So Skylar kind of rolls her eyeballs every time we meet because I want to see how many people came in through this channel or that channel, and how many of those people converted. And the more I have that conversation, the more I realize that it really is not critical to the bottom line as to how the clients are getting there through what channels. The key is casting a broad enough net where you capture clients from various sources and then continue to build on that and build on it and continue to do that. And over time, you don't have to worry about where, is this one working better than that? Is our Facebook ads, are they performing better than our SEO that we're working on? It all kind of comes together in a confluence of strategies. So,
and you have people like us that are not worrying, but managing that for you. I mean, like you, and I tell this to my clients all the time, Scott. I mean, like the best thing that you can do, honestly, to assist in your own success is be a great lawyer. That's what your job is. That's what you're doing. I mean, like, and that's what you need to do. And like, run a good firm. I mean, like, just the intake piece is an example of that. And delegating, of course. I do think it's important that you pay attention to the numbers. I think it's important that you pay attention to what lead sources are generating good clients and what lead sources are generating bad leads, because you want to stop doing that. So for instance, if you find that the webinars are all just bringing in a bunch of junk or not good, then let's stop doing it. Like, it's not worth your time. So I do believe continuing to kind of pay attention to that, not like with a bunch of anxiety, but just kind of paying attention to how did this really good client come in? I want more of these people. Where do these guys come in? That's important. I always ask those questions. The other thing is success stories from you about your best clients, retelling those stories in terms of putting that out there. You always need to be involved in terms of the brand and the spirit and the energy of the firm, and that needs to be syndicated out through the content. That always needs to come from you. Remember that number one marketing rule is people buy from people they like. And so Scott Alperin and your partners, Dave included, and everybody else, that brand needs to be exposed through the content, through social media and all that stuff out there all the time. So you need to always be involved in that, in the sense of, you don't want just hire, and this is a lesson for everybody that's listening, you don't want to just outsource your content like on autopilot without your voice. Make sure it's your voice. Once you've trained people on your voice, and we talked about that early on, like, we'll get the voice down. Remember, I remember you and I talking about that. I was like, be patient with this process. Remember when we wrote the content in the beginning, the back and forth and stuff like that, getting that voice down. We didn't always get it down. But now I think we're better at it, right?
No question.
Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, I think that, casting a wider net, other opportunities, getting into different practice areas. One thing I want to say is, your partner, Dave, I mean, I've known him for a long time. I mean, he and I have met years and years ago. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think that we've met at shows way in the past. I think that he's been to a couple of GLM events even before he was with you.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So I think that he was a big endorser of us. So we have him to thank as well for bringing us together. But so what's next for you guys?
Well, this is it's an interesting question because when we talked recently, just to kind of look back over the last year since we've been working together and trying to figure, okay, what's working well, what things have we yet to implement that we need to do. I think for us, probably is more web video. You had told me when we first started working together that there were a couple of estate planners that had really developed some really good FAQs that were video FAQs.
Freeze.
Yep,
Dave
exactly. I didn't know if we were allowed to mention names.
Yeah, of course.
But that really intrigued me. In fact, you gave me permission to call him, and he was very gracious to take my call. He didn't hang up when I said, yeah, Tom told me to call, which was good.
Yeah, that's good.
And was very generous with his time and told me how that had really helped his site because people can easily see in a little snippet, this is the answer to the question I have. And now I know that these guys are the experts. So that's one thing that I definitely want to implement here in the coming months.
Let's talk about that real quick because I'm glad you brought it up because that's another little teaching moment. And I just want to add some other things to it because there's a trick to it. There's a secret, and it's white hat, very much white hat, but there's a secret trick. And here's how it works. We call them 10-10-5 videos because what you're doing is you're actually making 15 videos. Look at it like that. 10-10-5 or what? No, that's 25. So you're making one video which is answering the question that people ask. And in that video, you're introducing another question. You answer the question. But then you say, well, people that answer or ask this question usually also ask this question. So then you introduce another higher question, which so one question is the perfect client, rich client question. And then contained in the answer is another question that is even better that you don't answer in that video. They actually have to go back out and do a search for it. And of course, you have answered that question in another video. And then there's another video that goes on the landing page of your website that ties it all together. And so this is happening on Dave Freeze's website. You can see them all, and on his YouTube's page in various ways. And just real quick on that. So in other words, you're just and that's just one example of one area. So you want to for each area have these 10-10-5 videos. So think about it that way. The question that people ask, the question they should ask, or another question to ask that has to do with the first question that's relevant to the first question. The other thing that you can do in the video that's tricky if you watch them is that he changes up his outfit. So, and some videos, he's all you got your tie up. Another video, his tie will be down. Another video, he'll have it off completely and he'll look a little bit disheveled. Another video will have him the green screen will be all made up nice. Another video, the green screen will not be done. You can see it oops, we messed up. And so what we're doing is we're creating this interest, wait, was that meant to be? So there's some other elements to it. Pay attention to the videos themselves when you're swiping and deploying, from Dave Freeze's video. But those work fantastically. So well, I'll tell you a quick one on that. Right after we did them, he called me up and he's like, you won't believe this. Just got hired. And by this big, it's an owner of a sports team or something like that. I don't remember exactly, but a very wealthy person up there in Pennsylvania. And what had happened was this person said, go get me an estate planner to his finance person. CFO. That's what they're called. Totally spaced out. CFO. So CFO, what does CFO do? CFO goes to what? Google, and starts typing in whatever questions. And he goes back to the boss and says, I don't know if this guy's any good, but Dave Freeze comes up for every question I've typed in. So they hired him. And it was all those videos. And it was those long tail searches. So yes, video rocks. And one of the great things about video, and then we can wrap this up, but one of the great things about video is that it's multi-purpose. It's multi-purpose content. So you can use it. One is you add it to your website and it becomes its own content because you transcribe it, and it's video and content in your Foster website. It also gets pushed to YouTube, so now it's on YouTube. You can also use that video footage and put it on any other page that you want on your website. You can also put it in your emails. So it's multi-purpose. It's a gift that keeps giving. So video is my favorite thing to do. I like to say start with video, and then you can create all kinds of other content from it. Anyway.
Great advice.
So I agree. So video should be your big thing this year. And, everybody's doing it. Use this Zoom. I would interview other people, interview your partners, interview other lawyers, clients, get the testimonials from your clients this way. Anyway, good deal, man. Well, Scott, thank you so much for taking your time to get on the World of Marketing podcast. I know we've been trying to do it for a while, but you're a busy man. Look at your desk. Look at his desk, everybody.
Well, thank you, Tom, for helping to transform my practice into something that I had never imagined it could become. And you're a big part of that, and your company's a big part of it. You've got a tremendous team there that really cares. And that's one thing I'll say about John. He probably kill me if he heard this and heard me say this to you, but he always is very careful to say, Scott, I'm not here to spend more of your money. We want to do what's right for you and what's smart. And when I come up with an idea that's going to cost a lot, even though he probably could say, yeah, we can do that for you, he's honest enough and has the integrity to say, look, don't spend your money on this. This is working fine. Let's do this. Let's redistribute your spend doing these other things. And that says a lot about the character of your employees and your company, because that's what I've been missing all these years, Tom, is that a lot of these web marketing firms are very quick to try to figure out how much they can get you to spend every month. And it goes into this black hole, and you have no way of knowing if it's helping or not, because there's not this conversation that we're having would never happen with most of those other firms. And you guys care about what you do. You do great work for your clients, and I'm honored to be a part of it. And I'm glad you decided to take me on as a client.
Wow, man. Gosh, I'm going to weep. That is so nice. That was so nice of you to say. I'm not even going to say anything after that, Scott. Well, thank you so much, brother. And thank you for being a client. Thank you for trusting us. I'm glad that we've been able to, so far, so good. And let's keep going. And thank you so much for being my guest on the World of Marketing. And I will talk to you soon, because as I've already told you, I want to be a client of Alperin Law. So hang on. I'm going to pause this because I want to talk to you about that. All right, everybody. It's been Scott Alperin and Tom Foster on the World of Marketing. Thank you so much. Talk to you soon.